grabar en inglés.
Ok.
Y voy a hacer transmisión en vivo en idioma original.
Ujú.
Okay. Bueno, les hemos pedido buenos días a
So good
todas,
morning.
todos.
Good morning,
Buenas
everyone.
noches, buenas tardes, donde quiera que estén. Estamos
Good
también
afternoon, good
al otro
evening,
lado del
depending on where
mundo.
you are.
Les hemos pedido que quienes vayan llegando,
We've asked
pongan
those
su
as you
nombre,
are coming in
país,
to make a note
organización,
in the chat of
entidad
your
a que
name,
representen.
country, the
Esto nos
organization,
ayuda también a
agency, or
tener
entity to
un
which you
registro
belong. And this
de
will help
quienes
us have a
estamos
record of who's here.
aquí en la reunión. Siguen llegando compañeros, entonces estamos dando
There's still some colleagues who
el
are
acceso.
arriving, so we're going to give them a few
Les
minutes to make
pedimos
sure they
que
can get in.
anoten igual su nombre, ya está indicado, todo el mundo
So,
lo sabe porque lo mandamos por correo.
and, we did mention it in the email, but please do note, make a note of your name.
Tumbacam de Sweden, de Suiza, Patricia de Atac de Francia, Uma Chakari de Basuya Kutumbacam, disculpe si no lo digo bien, Germán Niño del Foro Social Panamazónico, Latindad, Mike Davis de Zimbabue, de la Alianza Internacional de Habitantes, Patricia Gaíncia.
Eu queria ver só para conhecer, porque eu vou fazer de manhã, né? Então,
Oi, Leo, bem-vindo. Estamos escuchando você.
Oi, bom dia.
Buen día. Patricia Gainza de World Social Forum de Migración de Uruguay. Bueno, Rosy Zúñiga hacia la América Latina y el Caribe, México. Praman Adhikari del sur de Asia, Alianza para Erradicar la Pobreza. Y el secretariado basado en Nepal. Bueno, si alguien me falta, me dicen. Netra Prasatin Sina del sur de Asia. Alianza para Erradicar la Pobreza, miembro del Foro Social de Nepal. Vidur Subedi from the Nepal. Arjun Bhattarai, la Secretaría General de ONGs de la Federación de Nepal. Pierre George de Francia, de Cáritas. Rita Freire de la Ciranda de Brasil. Bueno, Fabián Cohen de del CRID, de Francia. Mario Gil de SEAL, Colombia, América Latina. Dikashwari Rai del World Social Forum 2024 de Nepal. Ok. Francisco Marí de Alemania, del Brother for the Wealth, Bread for the World, Pan para el Mundo, de Sucho Bandar de Mumbai, Hamuda del Foro Marroquí. Bueno, somos los que estamos. Si alguien faltó, Hamuda.
So that's all of us. If anybody's missing.
Se apagó tu micrófono.
A minha conversa com ela é propor os macroindicadores. Só que é o seguinte, ela
Mauri, su micrófono está abierto.
Lembra a mãe assim, magrinha, pequenininha.
Bueno, le vamos a pedir que si sus micrófonos, si por favor cierran sus micrófonos.
So please turn off your microphones.
Si no están hablando respecto a la reunión.
If you're not speaking directly during the meeting, please have them closed or off. So we did share an agenda over chat and on email. And I'm going to try to share it here in Spanish and English.
Bueno, ya creo que todo el mundo anotó su nombre o la mayoría.
So I think everyone was able to add their name, or everyone who wanted to. And it's been 15 minutes since the starting time.
¿No me escuchas? ¿Las demás me escuchan? ¿Los demás me escuchan?
Can you hear me?
¿Sí?
Escucho
Sí, te
bien,
escuchamos bien.
escucho bien.
Ok. Quizás me estás escuchando con otros audífonos o me estás escuchando en inglés o
Are you hearing me?
verificar
Maybe
ahí.
can you try different
Okay.
headphones, or maybe try the English channel?
Ok. Quizás tus audífonos.
So it might be your headphones.
Bueno, ya le puse ahí algún mensaje. A ver
So
si es así.
put a message there in case it has to do with your
Revisen los
headphones.
audífonos o el- Bueno, hace tiempo, bueno, estamos
So,
con las carreras para
so we know we're all
el
rushing
evento
around to
en
try to
Nepal.
finish preparing the Nepal events.
Entonces, claro que eso es urgente y también es urgente
So,
que
you know, that's
haya
urgent, but
una
it's also
organización
urgent for
de
there to
dos
be
entidades que quieren ser
organizing.
parte del
And there are two
secretariado y también
organizations
tienen
that want to be
base
part of the Secretariat,
en Nepal. A ver,
and they're both
vamos
based in
a ver otra
Nepal.
vez. Mirek también. Entonces, bueno, esta es la propuesta de la agenda, ¿no? Dar esta
So
bienvenida,
this is
ya
the
les puse
agenda
a todos su
proposal.
nombre.
So we've
Bueno,
already
ver estas
passed the
dos entidades
welcome.
que quieren ser parte del CI.
We're going to review these two
Creo que
organizations that want to be part of
la
the
otra
IC.
cuestión es ver lo de las
And then the
comisiones
other
del CI
issue is to
para
see
presentarlas a
the
Nepal, que esa es la
IC
tarea.
commissions with
Y
keeping
ahí
in mind what we're planning for Nepal.
al que ya está aprobado se
And
puede
then we're
seguir
going
el
to talk
procedimiento.
about the makeup of this
Breve.
IC. It's been approved, but we need to go over that
Y
briefly.
bueno, esas son como las tareas de esta
And
reunión.
that's
No sé si alguien
really
quiere
the tasks that we
comentar al
have for
respecto.
this meeting. I don't know if anybody has any comments on it.
Y si no hay nada, paso
And
a
if there
la-
aren't
¿Me
any,
escuchas, Patricia? Ah, perfecto, sí.
we can move on to the
Ok.
next point.
Entonces, le pediría a Hamuda y a Marcela que nos presenten
So I asked Hamuda and
las
Marcela
solicitudes que
to
tenemos para
present
ser parte
very
del CI.
briefly the request that we have from the two organizations that want to be part of the IC.
Hamuda, ¿nos escuchas?
Hamuda, can you hear me?
Marcela o Marcela.
Or maybe Marcela?
Rosie, comme j'ai dit hier, je ne peux pas parler parce que je suis dans une voiture sur la route. Donc, je l'ai dit hier que je pensais que c'était une réunion du secrétariat, pas une réunion du Conseil international. Et je pensais que c'était une réunion du groupe facilitateur. Donc, il n'y avait pas de préparation. Il y a deux organisations qui ont demandé à être membres. C'est le Forum asiatique pour l'immigration et le deuxième, c'est Terra Azul avec un réseau sur la question climatique. Jusqu'à maintenant, le demande.
So there's one organization that's dealing with climate issues, and up to now, this request that they've submitted from the Asian Forum, the request is complete, the application. There's just one support letter to the International Committee regarding Terra Azul. They sent the letters, but we're missing the final file with the final document. I don't know if Marcela has more information about the networks that are talking about the climate issue. She can mention that. Otherwise, we really should start with the Asian Forum. They need to talk about their forum, their activities, their work.
Ok, Hamuda, gracias. No sé si Marcela.
Thank you,
Sí,
Hamuda.
comprendo.
I understand.
Entonces quedaría pendiente Si no es que si Marcela no tiene otra información,
So
que
unless Marcela has
asiático de
additional
Nepal, necesita una
information,
carta de alguien del CI que los conozca.
they need to get a letter from an organization that knows them. Maybe someone from here on the IC could do a recommendation letter, or maybe the Asian Forum, but maybe the Migration Forum. Maybe Patricia knows them, and they can do the recommendation letter. Marcela, can you let us know if the Tierra Azul information has been received? I think it was sent to Hamuda, and they sent a letter. And I think there was also a letter from.
Mais nous n'avons pas le dossier final.
Ça veut dire quoi, Hamouda?
So we do have the letters, but we don't have the final document. So what does that mean? So it needs an application needs to be sent for the two organizations, and we don't have the file. All friends in the Asian Forum did send the file, but not the letters. We do have the document, but we don't have the letters. So for Tierra Azul, we don't have the document, but we do have the letters. So I'm going to talk to them today. It's no problem. But I'd like to propose if the Asian Forum members are here, they really should introduce themselves so that we can have questions and they can answer those questions in real time. Thanks, Hamuda. So, yeah, I agree. So Indian Labor Line is raising their hand. There's no name, but they can go ahead and speak.
Hello, this is Sushovan from Mumbai, and I'm just using my official ID to get into the Zoom. So that is showing as India Labor Line. Okay, two issues here. One is the Migrant Forum Asia. I will introduce since there's no representative directly from the Migrant Forum Asia, but many of us work with them, so I will introduce them. But first about the technical part, yes, the dossier is complete, and as Hamuna said, that they leave two letters. Now, the two support organizations for the Migrant Forum Asia, one is Asia Pacific Social Forum Facilitation Committee. Number two, CADCN. These were the organizations. This was, okay. So these were the two organizations endorsing the candidature of Migrant Forum Asia. Now, I belong to the intersection of both the organizations, so therefore I can assure, and we can get the letter by tomorrow itself in the list, so the processes are not delayed even further, because we need many Asian organizations to come on board for various reasons altogether. Now, about the Migrant Forum Asia, let me give a background. It is basically a forum of migrant workers in Asia. And it was started in 1990 in a meeting of migrant workers, worker advocates in Hong Kong. Formally, the Migrant Forum Asia was organized in 1994 in a forum held in Taiwan, which entitled Living and Working Together with Migrants in Asia. Migrant Forum Asia is a regional network of NGOs, associations, trade unions of migrant forum workers, and individual advocates of Asia who are committed to protect and promote the rights and welfares of migrant workers. Migrant Forum Asia believes that migrants' rights are human rights, documented or undocumented, irrespective of race, gender, class, and age and religious belief. Migrant workers' rights by the UN Declaration of Human Rights, the UN Convention, the protection of rights of all migrant workers and members of their families and international conventions. It is guided, therefore, it is guided by a vision of an alternative world system based on respect for human rights and dignity, social justice, gender equity, particularly for migrant workers. Migrant Forum Asia also acts as a facilitator, a regional communication and coordination point between member organizations and advocates, forging concerted action to address discriminatory laws and policies, violence against women migrants, unjust living conditions, unemployment in the homeland, and other issues in the Migrant Forum. Its headquarters is in Manila in the Philippines, and it has network members all across Asia, looking both at trans-border migration and also domestic migration, which is huge in a few countries like India and others. So this is roughly about Migrant Forum Asia. So in case you want to have more questions about it, you can. I'm happy to respond to you as much as my knowledge goes. Many of the Nepalese organizations present here also work with Migrant Forum Asia. As you know, the huge number of Asian workers, either they travel within the continent, especially to the Gulf countries, or to go to Europe and the US, and also in the prosperous region of Southeast Asia, mostly in Hong Kong, Singapore. So this is roughly about Migrant Forum Asia. Thank you.
Muchas gracias, Uchoa, por la información.
So thank you very much for that information. Marcela, did you raise your hand?
No, creo que se quedó arriba.
No, I think it just
Oui,
got left up.
je levais la main parce
Ok,
que
sí.
Pedro Ivo, qui est membre de la Carta da Terra, et à la réunion, je pense qu'il n'était pas avant. Donc peut-être lui pourrait rapidement dire quelques mots
I think
sur
that Pedro
l'organisation internationale
is a
pour
member
l'envoyer
here at
pour
this
l'envoi
meeting,
des formulaires remplis, bien sûr.
but really the form is what's missing.
Ok, entonces Pedro es de la Carta de la Tierra.
Pedro is for
Pedro Ivo, ¿podrías presentarla brevemente?
Pedro. Can you briefly present the other organization?
Good morning. Sorry, I'm a little late. I'm Pedro Ivo. I've been here with the committee, but we are subscribing and we must be in this representation in this committee. We have two letters for the support, and we'll send soon the representation. But I've been here in the WSF for long. I'm here participating in the previous one, and we are coordinating the Amazon conversation with other counties and associations. And we are participating in another meeting with the presidents of the Amazons. And we have another meeting from 4 to 6 this month. Thank you, Marcelo. Thank you, everyone, for this spot talk.
Thank you, Pedro. So we're going to be waiting for that very important information that will allow us to move forward in the process of incorporating them into the World Social Forum. So if there aren't any more questions or comments about it, we can move on to point number 2 on our agenda, which has to do with the progress.
Sí, Rosy, perdone porque estoy en el carro. No puede.
So sorry, I'm in the car.
Levanta la mano, adelante.
So go ahead.
À nos amis du Forum asiatique, ils peuvent demander une lettre de
So
membres
from the Asian Forum, they can request a letter from council members. not the forum members in general, only the commission or committee members. The Asian Forum, who are currently members of the International Committee, they can write a letter, a support letter. And another member of the council can write a second letter. I don't know if the Moroccan Forum could do one of the letters, or maybe the Migration Forum. Maybe Patricia could do the letter. That's all. Thank you, Hamuda. So if anybody who is not currently speaking could just shut off their microphone to help us avoid interference or hearing background noises, please. So according to what it says here, we're going to ask our colleagues from Asia to request a letter from another member from Asia that can do the support letter. And if there are other organizations in the country, as Joben was mentioning, somebody that knows the group in the region can prepare a letter. And perhaps Patricia, who's working on the issue of migrations, can also provide a letter, and that will help us move forward with that application. I assume we're all in agreement unless I hear otherwise. If you want to speak, please raise the hand on your Zoom and just look for the reactions. You can raise your hand or some other kind of sign of support. So if there aren't any more questions about it, we're going to move on to the second point on our agenda, which on the one hand has to do with the progress of the different commissions looking toward Nepal. Great. So now I'm going to turn it over to our colleagues from Nepal. Unless somebody has a question before we move on to point number 3. No? Maybe Tor.
If not, Nepal has something to say first. Okay, I just say that this point of mobilization is, of course, very important. We have now not many time left. It's only 7 months or something like that. And I do see some problems in terms of really mobilizing both geographically and thematic, which are normally the two main ways of doing so. I pointed at this in an email to the International Council. And of course, we cannot discuss details today, but it would be most welcome if Nepal, the Nepalese and Asia organizers respond to it. The main problem I see is that it will be very hard to get interest among main worldwide movements, as the program is organized in a way which does not take into account the positive experience of the World Social Forum in 2021, when it was possible to unite key organizations in the different thematic axes concerning organizing a common program, which made it more easy to find common interests than in the model proposed by Nepal, which is one big assembly each day, which is in competition with 2 other big assemblies, and then a wide market with very many activities, which lacks sort of the structure that will make it of interest to many of those I have been contacting in the international movements. Furthermore, it doesn't take into account the great necessity and possibility of using hybrid format, and in this way to get a more equal widespread representation also from regions who have very, very little possibility economically to come to Nepal, but can participate in hybrid meetings or online meetings before and after, as well as during the program, if this is thought about in a structured manner. And finally, I think it would be very important to get all resources now for this mobilization, using the possibility we have of seeing that we are in solidarity. The IC cannot make solidarity appeals for social forum activists like now Boris Kagarlitsky, who has been very central in the Russian social forum, which was organized last time in 2021, and now is put in prison by the Russian government, but the assembly can do. And by uniting ourselves, I think we can move forward. As I said, we cannot take this in detail now, but I'm willing to contribute and hope we can get as much cooperation from everyone towards Nepal. Thank you.
Gracias, Tor. Patricia va a estar moderando este
Thank you,
punto.
Tor. Patricia will be moderating this point, and we'll ask her because this has to do with the presentation that Hamuda requested in terms of progress toward Nepal. So go ahead, Patricia.
Aussi, hablas de mí, de esa Patricia.
Sí.
Bueno.
Are you talking about me?
Bueno,
Yes.
¿Quieres que coordine esa parte del punto 3? ¿Es eso lo que
You want me to coordinate this point 3? I'm going to speak in French. So you mentioned that we're going to turn the floor over to Tor, and he was talking about some different challenges that organizing the program has faced, that it's been very difficult in Europe, for example, and our friends in Russia. But in terms of Nepal, I can just give we can just have a summary, because the question is, how can we organize and facilitate and get the commissions in action? We did talk about 3, which are finances, communication, and resources. And we really don't have much time left. So we really need to come to a conclusion here in this meeting on how to structure the facilitation group. And how do we make sure that each of these different commissions gets enough attention? And how do we coordinate with these committees? Attack and support the mobilization and the coordination. We're working with other organizations in France to see how we can mobilize an active French group. And we are going to have a workshop in the European University around mobilization in terms of solidarity. And it's going to be an opportunity to try to see how we can activate for the World Social Forum in Nepal. And what's missing is that at the same time, there can be other forums that are also important for resource mobilization for this Nepal forum. And in terms of attack, I don't know if Fabian, who's here, could also talk about the work that we're doing or what can be done. Or maybe our friends in Nepal could tell us what their expectations are and how we can support them at this stage of the process.
Thank you. This is Netra from Nepal. Thank you, Patricia. Rosie, can you give me the co-host so that I can show a few slides to make understand that how we are progressing with the preparations
Pode
and other
compartilhar a
planning.
tela para mostrar uma informação?
Is it possible to give me the host?
Sim, é possível.
Netra. To Netra.
Okay, Netra.
Yes, you can go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I am trying.
Muito obrigado. Eu estou tentando aqui.
Sí, Netra va a hacer una presentación en PowerPoint.
So Netra is going
Okay.
to do a PowerPoint presentation.
Yes, I am going to PowerPoint presentation. Let me try with this. PowerPoint, okay.
Netra, just share your screen.
Yes,
You should
I'm
be allowed. Okay.
trying to make it. Okay. Thank you. Are you okay with this?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
fine.
Yes, okay.
Make it full screen.
Thank you. Thank you. Let me do the. Now it is full screen, yeah?
No, there.
Yes.
Yes. Thank
Yes,
you.
Thank
okay.
you. Thank you. Thank you very much. This is, I am Nitra. I am one of the member of the Nepal Organizing Committee. We have a structure in Nepal that we have a general council. We have more than 400 organizations in general council. And we have organizing committee, more than 50 people and organization in organizing committee. And we have a working group and then also secretariat, a small secretariat. And we have 9-10 working group. So that is the structure. And then we have Asia Pacific Social Forum, and then we have International Council. So we have, this is the logo that one of our artists recently come up with this logo as a brand of the WSF 2024. And also it is approved by the Nepal Organizing Committee meeting held in 23rd July. So these slides I have also, we have also before presented, but I am again just to make a very brief one that we have a program from 15. All the participant international delegates will arrive in Nepal on 14 February 2024, and we'll have a press meet on that with the NOC, Nepal Organized Committee, Asia Pacific Committee, and then International Committee. So on the 15th, we have an opening ceremony. On that, we have a solidarity march, we have inauguration, and we have cultural program in evening. And then 16 to 18 February, in 16, 17, 18, we have parallel assemblies, we have parallel sessions, a small session, and then also we have evening, we have public meeting and cultural program, and then also some public event. So we have 3 slots of the parallel session, before lunch and after lunch 2 sessions, and in the morning from 9 to 11 there will be the parallel assemblies. We have to plan and we have to make a detailed workout on how many parallel assemblies and how many parallel sessions, what kind of the cultural programs. So we are working on that, but once the assemblies are registered and then activities are registered, then we move forward. So we have an Intercontinental Youth Forum from 13 to 14 February is part of the associated program with this World Social Forum. Likewise, we may have the Parliamentary Forum, we may have the Farmers Forum, Labor forums. Let us see how it goes. And then maybe we have a regional forum, South Asia, Asia, Latin America, Europe, Africa, like that. No? So this is the program framework from 15 to 19, and then 13 and 14 is an international intercontinental youth forum. Okay, this is just the infographics that what I have already described. We will have a big inaugural in the one of the stadium, and then we have assemblies and then parallel session in public universities, and then also public hall, and we'll have the closing ceremonies with the assemblies, and we'll have this is the infographics that our communication team has prepared recently. So far we are just mapping out who will be the speakers, and then we are trying our best to map out the social movements, campaigns, from where people, the key, the activists, the social activists come and then address the inaugural and then other assemblies and then closing as well. So far we have communicated two people, one from Malaysia and then one from South Asia, Pakistan, Jomo Sundaram. Maybe many of you may know them or may not know them, and then Hina Jilani. So they are interested to come and then to speak about in the opening ceremony. But still we are trying to. So we need to help. We need to help from IC and then APSF, particularly few speakers from Latin America, from Africa, the new social movements, and then youth as well. Okay, youth speakers. Before we have approached to Malala, one of the activist, Nobel laureate as well, but she declined later on. Maybe she's not. She sent a message that she's not available. So we have to work out together on that to find the people who will be useful for other, and then also attract some attention of the issues that we will be picking up in 2024 in our World Social Forum. So this is the communication and website. Still website, we were trying to make a public test today morning, but it did not happen. Still friends are making a code, etc., working on that. But we already have this social few social media, and then we have started to posting that, and then we have prepared draft these brochures and then some flyers. We will share soon them, and we will upload them soon in the website. Once the website is we make a public. So this is the estimated budget for core function of the WSF. The core functions mean as the spaces we will be creating, and then we need some equipments and then some other things, and then also a few secretariat expenses. It does not cover the travel and accommodations of the participants and the delegates. So it is around 0.4 million at the lowest level. It is for the minimum cost that the Nepal NOC, Nepal Organizing Committee, for the core functions, means the only organizing functions. Okay, that is the venue and also mobilization, some social movements, and then accommodation, transport, a few international guests, a few only the speakers, and then publicity materials, some equipments. Some equipments mean we need a few for the secretariat, and then secretariat, some staffs, etc. So this is the core functions. Not cover the program sponsorship and travel and accommodations of the participants or the organizations. And then status of the resource mobilization for that. NOC has received a commitment of 28% of the total budget. That's 0.4 million. That's the lowest budget that we are trying to make it required for the core function of the WSF. That is the funds comes from, the commitment comes from the two organizations, one the Oxfam and then one is the Bread for the World. So the minimum estimated budget for the core function of the WSF is 4 million. So you already given here that how much is there, and yes. And then we are also trying to raise the crowd fund from making a call for to all the Nepal-based civil society organizations, and then also the outside organizations. They can donate, they can make a grant in a small amount as well, and also we'll have some amount we raise through the registration process. So in terms of the registration process, the South Asian, they pay little, 200 rupees, that is maybe $1.5. And then outside of South Asia, that is the individual, that is I'm talking of the individual, $10, wherever they are from, okay? And then for the event, we are the $25 for the event, the event or the organizer event organization registration fee. So that is the we have discussed in the Asia Pacific Social Forum meeting, and then also Nepal Organizing Committee meeting as well. So we are there are the meetings happening at the national, regional, and international levels are ongoing, but not that much is already friends, previous speaker have mentioned. But in South Asia, in some countries, they are doing the country level mobilization as well, particularly in India and Bangladesh, Pakistan, and Nepal, that's happening. At some regional level, we are planning at the Asia level, some that the outreach event. For example, we are planning in Indonesia in September a side event about the WSF, meeting with all the civil society organizations and movements in of the ASEAN countries. So the in Nepal we have a mobilization committee, and the Nepal mobilization committee is particularly to mobilize the Nepal, and then they will link to other continent as well, but not mobilize other continent. Other continent we need to help from international committee, the IC, and also Asia committee. So I will come at the end that what we need. So this is our time frame, our action plan. So now we are in August, maybe today is the last day of the July. So now we have to speed up the actions to be completed, or tasks to be completed to this to the February 2024. Still we are, so in this action plan, looking at this action plan, this is the draft plan. We can get all the input from all friends, International Council, and then Asia Pacific Social Forum as well. This was presented in the Asia Pacific Social Forum meeting, and then the meeting has agreed more or less to go in this timeline, and then activities to be done. So still we are we have to have a resource and then finance, and then as rightly Patricia mentioned before that, the mobilization, no, outreach is the very challenges because of the time, etc. Time is too short, so we need the great help from support from International Council on the outreach, on the mobilization, spreading the informations. Once the website is public, maybe in a couple of days, and then we have to step in. And then also organizing the regional meetings, as already said, Thor said that the university, the Patricia said that the university, and then also other public, the social movements and then campaigns, we have to reach to them. And then communication, this is the related to the mobilization, communication as well. The communication means the documents, the flyers, the materials, and more the practical materials, and then also theorizing, of the why the World Social Forum, how we attract the interest of the people and the new generations, youth interest to the World Social Forum. So that is the communications. And then mobilization, communication, and then resource, finance. These three areas are the crucial areas that the NOC will be very what is called we appreciate your support on these three areas. Thank you very much. If you have some questions and queries, myself and other friends from Nepal Organizing Committee, they will respond that. Thank you very much, Patricia.
Thank you very much, Netra. So, is there any question? Now we have all the program and the need around mobilization, resources, and communication. Fabien. Okay, Fabien, you have the floor.
Bonjour. Merci, bonjour tout le monde, et merci à toutes ces informations qui sont données, qui montrent que les choses sont
Thank you
avancent.
for all this information.
Pour autant, trois points. Un, je crois qu'on a besoin à ce stade-là, en tout cas au niveau du CI.
First of all, in terms of the International Council, we have to make sure that the forum unfolds well in terms of regional logistics. And in this sense, we have to develop a program that has volunteers, national volunteers. So, for example, we have to make sure that we have Patricia's participation with our colleagues from Caritas. I think that in Europe, we can be in charge of this topic to be able to create conditions with the Maghreb Forum and other African initiatives. We want to do this in September and October. And then we have another initiative of other social movements. And CRID invited more than 50 people from around the world for the University Forum. So at the same time, we will have a lot of international personalities, and also from France, especially with the workshop that will be held. We're going to try to create the conditions to be able to be well organized from the International Council in Europe and also our friends in Maghreb. This seems to me a very important topic. A second point that is really important for the World Social Forum. And that has to do with the topics or the thematic areas. I want to say that because the situation in the world is really evolving very quickly. We see what's happening in Africa recently, for example. And in addition, the situation means that there's a condition that we have personalities that are going to participate in the opening ceremony in the World Social Forum in Nepal. Then we have to know what are the issues that are going to be talked about so that we can really enrich the debate. In my opinion, what we should add, this is what should be added to what's already been talked about. So is there any reaction to Fabienne's proposal? Thank you, Patricia. I wanted to just comment on two things. I think there's been excellent progress as presented by our colleagues from Nepal. And I wanted to comment that in terms of the logo, I think it's very beautiful. But I don't know if we could add the acronym, the initials that we usually have, the image with the upside down consonants, or put them to one side, but something that is a visual indication of the World Social Forum. That's my comment on the logo. And then what Netra was saying about making progress on these three commissions. And I think that's where we need to really focus and say who's going to be able to help on communication, organization, and finances. And to the extent that the flyers are available from India, we can really start mobilizing in each of our regions. And we really have to think about in each region, who from the region can share some reflections on what's happening on our continent. And also to see in South America, you know, we don't have a lot of money, but we can try to make some applications and find funding in this area.
Why? Okay. You hear me? I hope the video is not working. I don't know why. Yes, I'm worried about the realism here in terms of mobilization, and also a little bit about the focus on personalities rather than the focus on having a broad participation. It's been said by Nepal that youth participation is important. We did manage this in the environmental space 2021 with 40% of the speakers, including moderators, etc., young people. And that was only possible because of the total contrary kind of program from what the Nepal have proposed now, when the focus is, hallelujah, we want great names everywhere. And the topics, we have to have great names for the topics. Of course, but there is no problem in getting great names. We know that there is always a great competition for that. But a structure that really enables the possibility for those movements who are so concerned that they are willing to converge their interest in a certain thematic axis. They are the ones who can also try to really get a change in the composition of the speakers, including getting young speakers. But the present program makes that impossible. Secondly, the problem in Central and Eastern Europe is not a European problem, it's worldwide. Central Asia probably have exactly the same problem, and at the present moment, as we've heard, the national mobilization will take place excellently in South Asian countries, yes. but how do we do with the rest of the world systematically? I don't see one single participation from North America or Oceania at this meeting, for instance. That means that we have to think in terms of not saying, start, we have to think in the responsibility worldwide mobilization towards Nepal, and that the Commission for the Mobilization should think in these terms and start to develop specifically those regions who are not present at this meeting. We have to end only building on those present. We have to think about absent friends. And when we think about absent friends, we have to think about how the program is organized in Nepal. And that's why I'm insisting on a good, if we can get a continued discussion about the program, including both these aspects, which makes it possible to get young people also as speakers and not as a side event only. And in terms of getting movements responsible for organizing some kind of common program, as well as regional meetings in Nepal, where it's possible, even if you are very few from a region, to get together in a time spot when you are not competing with anybody else. And that's the great thing with regional meetings, you are not competing. So I hope we can get to continue discussions about this with our Nepalese and Asian friends. But at the very moment, I don't see very much of realism in this. Instead, we have to start to thinking of worldwide. We have to start to focus on the hard issues and not the easy ones. Thank you.
Thank you, Tord, and to insist on realism. Amouda?
Oui, merci, je vais parler en français. Moi, j'ai trois réactions. La première, c'est par rapport au logo, comme Rosie a dit.
So I have three comments. My first is about the logo, like Rosie mentioned.
Et ça, il faut mettre le logo du Forum social mondial. Il est important.
I think the logo, the World Social Forum logo, should be included.
Un instant, parce que j'ai la traduction qui me revient. Juste couper.
Ça arrive un petit peu haché et coupé.
Voilà. Là, c'est
So can't hear the translation. Okay, now the translation interpretation is better. So regarding the logo, in terms of the logo, I do think we need to add the World Social Forum logo to what was shared. That's my first opinion I wanted to share. The second is that our friends in Nepal presented a kind of program. And as Tor was mentioning, we need to have a meeting with the council, International Council, that really focuses on the program and including other organizations who are not members of the International Council. We have to invite the working groups so that we can have a joint view on the program, because it's very important that everyone can mention what they need so that we can find activists who will participate in the program. Because the World Social Forum it works in a way that young people will register their activities. Everyone has to really handle their activities autonomously, including young people. So we're organizing a World Social Forum. So the work that our friends are doing in Nepal is very important because it shows us their vision of things. That's what's important. And now we have to see how we're going to turn that into reality. How are we going to participate all together so that it really works in a realistic manner? And that's my second opinion. And the third point is that I wanted to add, as others have already said, that a few months out from the event, it's very important to create these three commissions: the programming, methodological, the finance committee, because without financing, well, we could do it virtually.
Si on était présent et on soutenait solidairement nos amis
très bien.
népalais et asiatiques. Et dans ça, la commission communique le site web, par exemple, qui va les 4 langues au moins, portugais et le donner un coup de main.
So on the website, we have the 4 languages.
Creo que Hamuda cayó.
Oui, a disparu.
Yes.
Oh, Hamuda has disappeared.
Bon, en attendant qu'il revienne, peut-être, on donne la parole.
So maybe we can wait until, while we wait for him to come back, we're going to turn the floor over to Carlos.
Du site web. Comment donner un coup de main? Hamuda?
So Hamuda was talking about all the issues with the website.
Carlos, peut-être, peut prendre la parole en attendant.
So maybe Carlos, can you take over while we wait for Hamuda?
Thank you very much. Good morning.
Eu queria saudar o informe dado pelos companheiros do Nepal, acredito que
I'd like to salute the information given by the people from Nepal.
Abre tu micrófono.
Sim, eu queria saudar o informe. A Muda é revenu.
Sim.
Está cerrando o microfone automaticamente.
O microfone está fechando automaticamente.
Repetindo, eu queria saudar os companheiros do Nepal.
Repetindo, I'm just repeating. I'd like to salute the report from Nepal. And I'd like to agree with Rose's information that it would be important to add to the logo the images and what FSM stands for. In third place, I'd like to point out that the World Social Forum represents 2 decades after the forum in India. And we should think that the forum in Nepal should represent a political inflection in the history of the forum. In order to do that, I'd like to say that we are worried about 3 topics: mobilization, communication, and one thing that we end up leaving to the last minute. And it ends up not meeting our standards, which is the guarantee that that representatives from IC have real conditions to go to Nepal Forum in person. So I'd like to suggest that a specific committee is created to talk about funding our colleagues who need to go to Nepal and can't afford it, especially from Latin America and Africa. I believe the Brazilian collective of organizations is interested. They're interested in take part in this committee from now. To help funding the trip from our colleagues from Latin America and Africa to Nepal. Thank you very much.
Tu micrófono, Patricia, está fechado.
Ah, pardon. J'ai l'impression que Amouda, qui était revenu, est reparti. Donc, peut-être on va donner la parole à Damien. Avant, je pense, tu me diras, Rosie, le temps avance. Donc, je ne sais pas s'il nous reste encore beaucoup de temps, mais on pourra faire...
Before we turn the floor over to Damien, we're going to ask Kamuda to come.
Okay, thank you very much. I'll speak in Portuguese. I'd like to thank our colleagues from Nepal and Asia and for the efforts in construction and the information they gave us. We've had new data, and I'd like to compliment our colleagues. First of all, from what I got, it's a consistent budget, like $4 million. It seems to be way higher than the previous forums, but each country has their own logistics and expenses. Dates in February from 15th to 19th. It's right after Carnival, so it's a peak season here, and so whoever has to travel from here because of Carnival will have to travel during the peak season, and especially here, tickets are too expensive, especially because of the peak season and because of the distance. I'd like to talk about funding, bringing the speakers here and other people, the most common ones. Besides that, it's important to have a solidarity fund to think about leaders from popular movements, especially who won't be able to go to Nepal. I think Fabian mentioned this about the importance about Latin America and America in general, to think about options to fund as a group. I believe a great part of committees and organizations won't be able to to participate in person in Nepal. So I'd like to ask for your opinion about our Asian colleagues. Is it a hybrid event or just in person? Even with the difficulty to take part in it, I think it's important to take try to then take us to participate in person in Nepal. But if that's not possible, maybe take at least our voices to Nepal. So a hybrid event would facilitate that movements and leaderships take part in the forum. I also think that if the fund for Nepal isn't for tickets and not only famous speakers, that we might help with solidarity stays and fitting, things like that. So I think if it's not only for political charts, we have to help other leaderships to take part in the forum. And thank you very much. I'll be waiting about your opinion about taking us to participate. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Damien. Might be some difficulties for our Latin American colleagues to be able to travel. Might be easier for our Europeans. So I want to answer if someone can talk about the hybrid proposal for the forum. So can you hear me? Mike is requesting the floor. Hamuda is back. Hamuda, do you want to finish making your comments before we turn it over to Mike? Okay, I'm here. I just wanted to say that all the points that I was talking about had to do with mobilization. There's the university that's going to organize an event, and we're going to organize in Marrakesh. There's going to be a World Bank Assembly and Summit. And we're going to have an activity around the Nepal Forum to provide information about this. And so in terms of mobilization, there's also COP28, which will be celebrated and held in Dubai. And that movement that's going to be working, we've been talking to them about Nepal because there aren't very many people and organizations from Asia. And so we told them about the Nepal Forum, and we need to really have more mobilization around climate in Asia. And I sent them documents, the same documents that I sent to everyone. So that mobilization. And then in Pakistan in December, there's the Earth Summit. And so it'd be great if our Nepali and Pakistani colleagues can be organized around that Earth Summit. That's going to be taking place in Pakistan. So thank you very much. Mike, let's turn it over to you.
Great. Hi, everybody. Just to update you on some of our activities in the Alliance. We've got two initiatives looking at Nepal. One is the possibility of holding an international tribunal on evictions during the World Social Forum. And we will mobilize for that. But more importantly, at this planning stage, we've started an initiative to attract interpreters for Asian languages. So we've written to various universities and other groups, language schools, to see if we can generate interpreters for online meetings. I would like to talk to somebody in Nepal as well about the possibility of mobilizing local interpreters. And this can be joined together with the efforts for the virtual side of the forum. The other thing I wrote in the chat is I really think we must look at promotional meetings online from now until February. We mustn't just wait for February, but we should have some sort of publicity or advertising or promotional campaign over the coming months. This could be done regionally. We've got a lot of experience in running meetings in Africa, and I would like to work with other African colleagues or international colleagues who want to help in organizing such sessions, both to mobilize and publicize African social movements. One social movement we must have involved is Abishlali Basa and Jondolo from South Africa. Sabu Zakodi, the leader, is a friend of the World Social Forum. And I would like an outreach to them to participate in the planning phase. They would be a very important asset for us to mobilize in the rest of Africa. Thank you.
Merci Mike. En effet, je vois aussi dans le chat.
Thanks, Mike. I also see in the chat, I'm looking at the importance to really embrace this question of mobilization of our Latin American and African colleagues. And so the facilitation group really urgently has to address this issue. I don't know how much time we have left, but there is still a point that has to do with decisions that we need to make. And I understand that Pedro wants to speak up now and turn it over to you.
Can I please speak? We don't have much time, but we have an opportunity to really advertise during the Amazon dialogues, which will happen from the 4th to the 6th in the city of Belém. Amazon, and also in the city of Belém, in the Amazon, and so some street mobilization. So we have some materials to use to advertise. We can do it. Also, we're going to try to have some organizations from the Amazon. All the countries that belong to the Amazon region, they will be present. So we'll have a mobilization for our forum in Nepal. But in order to do that, we need to have some advertising material that's very simple. But we need it soon, by the 4th. And we'll try to have a meeting in the city of Belém with the organizations there to help towards the mobilization for Nepal.
Thank you, Pedro. Is
Obrigada,
there
Pedro. Temos
other
outras
reactions?
intervenções, talvez reações dos nossos.
Maybe our Nepali friends would like to add something. Netra? If not, we can just do a brief summary.
Thank you.
Okay, Netra.
Thank you, friends, all those who have spoken and then supported. It is the great, your deliberations and then your what is called recommendation advice encourage us to move forward. So we will consider all your recommendations and then suggestions. Okay, and then we will discuss and then come up with that with the action line and with the action plan. We incorporate them in our action plan. So if it is, I don't know the time wise, if it is possible, so the IC can set up a committee, 3 different committee. And that so we directly communicate to that committee from Nepal Organizing Committee and also linking to the Asia Pacific Committee. If the IC will have 3 committees, the finance and resource, and then mobilization, and then communications. That makes us easy to move forward and then to have more interactions. And then your suggestions on the online meeting and then different forum and then immediate promotional materials, they are almost ready. We will share as a draft tomorrow with you. And then immediately we will finalize that. Thank you, Patricia.
Patricia.
Donc, voilà, Rosie revient. Donc, on a là des interventions riches et où on
So we've
voit
had some very good interventions. Very quickly, we need to put the facilitation committee into place. And among the different commissions that Hamuda was talking about, the ones that were trying to work together, the question of the program and methodology, and that really goes hand in hand with mobilization, that has to do with the geographic organization, we need to work together. The question of finances, we need to have a committee or subcommittee that talks about solidarity for Latin American colleagues, our African colleagues, so that they can participate in the program and not only online. It's very important. And in terms of communication, Rosie had a suggestion of what the logo could look like, and talking about the importance regionally. And so organizing meetings for the World Social Forum to propose how we can really help mobilization in Europe. So, Rosie, I'm going to turn it back over to you. So we're really, this time, that will only be the facilitation group. Who here is from that facilitation group? And we have to do it a little bit quickly, between right after today's meeting, and so that we can really follow up on the work during these 7 months that we have left. And remember that in August in Europe, a lot of people are on vacation. There's a little bit less availability. So I'll turn it over to you, Rosie. Thank you, Patricia. I see that Germán's hand is also raised. I just want to comment a couple things. Just trying to, did you want to, just something very short. So hi, everyone. Just kind of in support of what Pedro was proposing. I'm going to be at the Amazon President Summit, and we're going to take advantage of that space to issue the invitation. And excuse me. Okay, so in terms of publicizing the forum at this event, and also to comment here that there we're going to launch the Pan Amazon Forum in Bolivia from the 20th to the 24th. And I wanted to comment that this weekend the Transformative Economy Forum in Colombia, and they're also part of this process. So that within the idea of the mobilization committee, we can really keep this in mind, these different moments, so that we can keep on weaving together this fabric that we wanted to have for our forum. Thank you. That's all I wanted to say. So thank you, Herman. Thank you, Patricia. Thank you, everyone. Just a couple things I wanted to comment on. So we're talking about working toward the forum in Nepal. We're working together. We also have the Nepal Facilitation Group, and they're working toward a global construction. I was thinking a little bit about the process that we had in Tunis of the struggles and resistance of the World Social Forum. And I think it could be something that we do it together, both thematically or in terms of topics, working on preparing the ground from a thematic topical perspective. And so if our Nepali friends can share those slides, we really want to do mobilization in terms of methodology, in terms of policy and politics, so that we can bring different global movements together. We don't have to wait until we get to Nepal to share what we're doing. That the road toward Nepal means that we're sharing along the way what we're doing, so that when we get to Nepal, we can really concretize or make specific certain actions. So I'm not trying to change the methodological rationale of how it's being put together, but there's just a contribution of how we can make this more global. And taking advantage of what everyone had talked about at different moments, there's a number of events that are happening, and each of these events really should be used to think about this global movement meeting, anti-systemic movements. And if we can go to these different activities, we really have to start mobilizing our own resources, not in an isolated manner, but definitely each person thinking about how we're going to get to Nepal individually and collectively, thinking about the different continents so that there's a really meaningful representation of each continent present. And I will be there. There's going to be a march in August, the Daisies March, and I'll be there with our Brazilian colleagues to really have to think about, and talk about how the forum is being conceived, how the event's being conceived. And Francine was sharing here in the IC chat that there's a mobilization, a protest that's being organized in India. So I think there's a lot that's being done, and the issue is how are we going to coordinate and articulate among these different efforts? And so to the side of this, we only have about 20 minutes left to wrap up this meeting. I was talking to the Secretariat, and we have to really fine-tune a number of things in the Secretariat. But I was mentioning to them that we've already changed the name of the chat for global movements so that we can invite more people. But my question is, do we want to share this link so that anybody can join? So there's no problem if lots of people want to join, but if that's what we want to do, or will we have focus on specific social movements. We're going to do it without a filter, or are we going to do it passing through a filter of who do we want to invite? So we can talk about it here in terms of what the procedure is. We know that there are lots of organizations. Many of them are from Mexico because we had a social forum here. And just one more thing. I think that the hybrid format is here to stay. So we really need to make the effort to be physically present in Nepal, but we can't leave people out who aren't able to travel but can connect virtually. We know that there's some issues. You know, Nepal's on the other side of the world, so there's some questions about time zones, but we really need to have a concerted effort to upload the videos so people can watch and make sure that they have interpretation so that people that can't be there physically can participate. And so we just want to move on to our last point, which has to do with the use of the chat and the mobilization. So we have about 20 minutes. Well, really, about 15 minutes, really, because the very end we have to define a few things. So anybody that wants to raise their hand or just turn their microphone on. So we're down to 41 people, including the interpreters. Ucha? Can you turn your microphone on, please?
Yes, hello, hola. This is Usha from Nepal. It's first time I'm participating IC meeting. So right now I'm in WSF 2024 Nepal NOC National Organizing Committee. First, I would like to respond about the comments regarding logo. So I'm one who is coordinating with artists. So again, I'm going to talk to him regarding comments and suggestion from here, which I got it. That's why I was asking about comments in writing. So now I understood. And the second, regarding hybrid mobilization, I think that is very important. Need to know about the methodology, how it can be done to have hybrid collaboration. And the third is regarding, I exactly forget, but I think Trud was mentioning about some kind of worry and doubt about the mobilization and the outreach and the networking. That is, I think, very important. Still, we are working related to mobilization of the different movements and the campaigns and the initiation within the country and of course outside. So already our colleague, our friends, Netraji, who is currently coordinating, so he already mentioned about the need of international help to mobilize and then for the publicizing of the program. And I think, I don't know who mentioned about the volunteerism, volunteer mobilization also. That is also ongoing. And regarding the protests and then the struggle, resistance related to WSF, what just Rosie mentioned, I was in Mumbai in 2004, and then I got opportunity to observe Mumbai Resistance 2004 and of course WSF. So that is, I think, very important. And now from the journey from 2001 to 2023, our social movement and the issues are very much diverse and the different, and also the leadership and the participation are very much diverse from the world. So that is very important, what I think. And in a political way, we really need to clear how we can have some serious topic as session and the parallel session or different activities in Kathmandu. I also don't know because I'm participating first time this meeting. So I'm trying to understand about different thoughts and the response. This is what I thought good to mention. But I personally eager to know more about the political side of the WSF and how we can respond, or we need to be sensible, and how we can go forward. Thank you.
Muchas gracias, Usha.
Thank you, Usha. Tor?
Yeah, it was really nice to get the response from Usha here, and I do look forward to continued cooperation. To the specific point asked by Rosie, I think we can walk in two directions at the same time. On the one hand, the chat can be wide and open, and on the other hand, we have to focus also on a specific meeting or something like that, only with those kind of movements that have a worldwide presence also at the local and national level, like International Alliance of Inhabitants, International Peace Bureau, etc. Because we need these kind of movements who have that kind of reach out. So walk in two directions at the same time. It's utterly important that we take into consideration this thing with Wi-Fi, etc. This whole hybrid thing has to develop. Pierre George have done excellent work in the past, and we shouldn't forget about the possibility of using the net for these ideas like Agora, etc., was now not included in the program. Thank you very much.
Gracias, Tor. Hamouda?
Si, je vais parler en français.
Oui.
So I'm going to speak in French.
Je vais juste dire une chose.
So now I would just like to say that our colleagues from Nepal that worked on the logo, that's your specific logo. But I'm going to send you the logo for the International Council, for the World Social Forum, so that these two can be included in the Nepali version. So that's my first point. And second, regarding what Rosie was talking about, in terms of the Global Movements chat, the title was changed, the name was changed.
Que ce chat maintenant, c'est un chat pour le Forum social mondial au Népal, et que la majorité
the change
de la discussion vont aller sur le forum népalais pour que les gens ne puissent ne pas envoyer.
This change reflects that the chat is now talking about the Nepal forum. So if that doesn't work, we can create a new group, eliminate the existing group, but we'd have to create a communication committee separate from the other committees that were mentioned, like mobilization and financing and methodology.
Et je suis d'accord avec ce que Patricia a dit.
I agree with what Patricia was saying. We have to work very quickly the month of August, in terms of North Africa and Sub-Saharan Africa, is summer.
Nous sommes dans la période de l'été, donc beaucoup de gens, des enseignants sont en
So,
vacances.
we're in the summer in that part of the world, which means that officials are on vacation. And so it's really kind of a downtime. At any rate, we can work in small groups to facilitate the transition toward Nepal and also to facilitate mobilization. So thanks very much.
Gracias, Hamuda. Arjun?
Thank you, Hamuda.
Thank you.
What's your
Thank you,
Arjun?
Rodi. Actually, I want to share a little bit about mobilization because I am, facilitating the mobilization country process. So already we now we have a WhatsApp group and over 600 people already join in our WhatsApp group. And this is not only the country process. I am in connecting in the international process. Exactly not in the World Social Forum international process, but there are many other international mobilization and process already in our WhatsApp group. So already there's a regional process, and as I understand now, like we need the global mobilization plan and the regional mobilization plan, and of course the country level. So we already prepare lots of country level mobilization plan, and over 100 organizations already joined, and many networks and alliances. So I like to request to the IC to connect in this process to us, as we are around 10 people actively engaging in this mobilization and engaging the campaigns in different themes. However, important issue, the third is that how we need to encourage the young people across the globe. That is the very important issue. So I realize now. So I think I like to request to IC and other comrades and colleagues to connect the international process and campaign mobilization. Those are leading by the young people, because young people need to understand this process and need to feel their ownership, because until and unless if young people not join our process or mobilization, so we are still have. So that is my concerns. So today onwards, so I think we'll connect more communities and friends across the globe. So how we can make a country process and the regional process and of course the global mobilization plan. So my proposal one, maybe we can have one separate meeting for the to fix or to make an action plan on campaign and mobilization. So I think we can focus on that particular 1 or 2 hours in especially on campaign and mobilization plan. So I'd like to request to IC or Asia Pacific or or other process, so at least to encourage to us to organize one separate meetings for the mobilization campaigns. Thank you.
Ok, sí. Yo creo que como bien dices Arjun,
Okay, so as we were just talking about in the chat, we need to have a next meeting, which is a global meeting. Could be August 31st, so that the summer vacation period has ended. So I mean, here it's also summer, but we don't have vacation for most people. So maybe around August 15th, we could have some meetings for the different commissions or the committees. So the facilitation group, I'm not sure if that's Hamuda's proposal. Yeah. So August 15th. So if we agree, we can talk about August 15th for these meetings. I'm going to be traveling, but I can leave everything prepared so that you can have your meetings. I'm going to be in Brazil, and that specific day is when the Margaritas March starts, but I can leave everything set up and talk to somebody from the Secretariat who can facilitate. We're going to make sure that there's going to be interpreters. We're going to have the room for the chat. But all that whole week, I'm going to be in Brasilia. So if there's anybody else that's going to be in the Margaritas March, we can see each other there. So let's think about what our agreements are today. So we've got the mobilization chat, it's open. You can share the link with our allies, with other groups that want to join. We're going to put a note that the chat will be used for information that has to do with the forum in Nepal. And if we see that that's not working or that we need to create a separate group for global movements, we can do that as we see the need. So we also need to work in the different committees. The facilitating group will meet on the 15th at this early time of day. And the general meeting can be on the 31st of August, if everybody's in agreement. So Patricia is suggesting that maybe the 11th, which would be easier for me. So the August 11th would be very good for me. So yeah, 11th is okay for me. We'll do, and then the 31st of August, we'll have the meeting with everyone. What do you think about that? Great. So I think we've had a very good meeting. We have several tasks that are waiting. So our friends in India who are going to send the letters, and we've got some dates for our next meetings. And so we'll see everyone on August 11th. And on August 31st, it'll start at 8 a.m. in Mexico. So if there isn't anything else to have a comment on, we're going to, Hamuda's going to send the logos. Hamuda must have a final version, but in any case, any information that can be shared is important. So thank you to our colleagues in Nepal on the facilitation group. Everything seems to be going well. So hugs to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Very
Bye bye.
exciting. Very nice meeting.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Obrigada.
Be well.
Thank you. Ciao.
Thank you.